The Champions League quarter-finals are here, and the opening leg promises a true footballing feast. With 4 former European champions, 4 domestic high-flyers, and a handful of intense reunions, the stage is set for 2 nights that will captivate fans across the globe. Real Madrid, PSG, Arsenal, Bayern, each has its own story, its own dream, but all with the same goal, the most coveted silverware in club football. The first clash of this high-stakes round sees Bayern Munich host Inter Milan on Wednesday, April 9th. Both sides enter in top form, and with plenty of history between them, none bigger than the 2010 final. Bayern are flying high in the Bundesliga and dismantled Bayer Leverkusen 5-0 on aggregate to cruise into the quarterfinals for a record 23rd time. The Allianz Arena remains a fortress. The Bavarians are unbeaten in their last 22 Champions League games at home. Under Vincent Kompany, they saw off Augsburg 3-1 at the weekend to stay 6 points clear in the league. But the win came at a cost. Jamal Musiala is out for the season with a muscle injury, and defensive stars like Alphonso Davies, Dayot Upamecano, and possibly even Manuel Neuer are doubts. Still, Harry Kane, with 10 UCL goals to his name, remains a lethal threat, supported by club legend Thomas Müller, set to leave in the summer. Inter, on the other hand, are reigning Serie A champions and boast one of the tournament's stingiest defenses, just 2 goals conceded in 10 matches. They breezed past Feyenoord 4-1 in the round of 16. However, they slipped up at the weekend, throwing away a 2-0 lead to draw 2-2 with Parma, underlining their away day struggles, just 2 wins in their last 8 on the road. Defensively, Inter have problems of their own. Alessandro Bastoni is a doubt with a knee injury, while Mehdi Taremi, Piotr Zielinski, and Denzel Dumfries are all ruled out. Christian Aslani is suspended. Nicolo Barella will have to carry the midfield load, hoping to link up with the dangerous front 2, Marcus Thuram and Lautaro Martinez. These 2 have history. In 2010, Inter beat Bayern 2-0 in the final behind a Diego Milito brace, completing a historic treble. Since then, they've crossed paths in the 2010-11 round of 16 and again in the 2022-23 group stage. Every meeting has been tight, high stakes, and unforgettable. Expect no different this time. Also on April 9th, all eyes will be on the Emirates for perhaps the tie of the round, Arsenal vs Real Madrid. This marks their first ever competitive meeting at Arsenal's home ground, and the first time they've faced off since 2006, when Thierry Henry famously scored the winner at the Bernabeu. Since that night, Real have lifted the trophy 5 more times. Arsenal, meanwhile, are only just finding their feet again in Europe. Under Arteta, they crushed PSV 9-3 on aggregate in the round of 16, including a 7-1 demolition in the Netherlands. But goals have dried up since, just 7 in their last 5 matches. Their 1-1 draw with Everton last weekend was clearly about preserving legs for the Madrid showdown. Arteta has had his eye on this one. The Emirates is a fortress, 10 games unbeaten in the UCL, but Real Madrid are a different beast. The 15-time champions haven't been knocked out in a quarter-final for over a decade, and they've never lost the first leg in their last 8 two-legged UCL ties. Arsenal have led matches longer than any other side in the competition this season, 568 minutes. They've only trailed for a total of 65 minutes across all their games. But Real have faced, and beaten, 111 different clubs in UCL history, more than anyone. If they make it 112, Arsenal may have to produce something truly special at the Bernabeu. And football rarely favors those who can't perform miracles. The following night, the focus shifts to Paris as PSG take on Aston Villa at the Parc des Princes. It's a first-ever European meeting between the 2 clubs, but not a first for Unai Emery, who returns to the ground he once called home. This PSG side is a very different one. No longer a team of megastar individuals, they now play as a unit. They've wrapped up the League One title with 6 games to spare and are unbeaten in their last 6 across all competitions. In the previous round, they bounced back from a 0-1 first-leg loss to Liverpool, a match in which they had 27 shots, and won it on penalties, thanks to Donnarumma's heroics. Remarkably, PSG have now faced Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, and Aston Villa, all 4 English clubs in a single Champions League campaign, something never done before. Aston Villa arrived full of confidence. 6th in the Premier League and just a point off the top 4, they've been on a tear since adding Rashford and Asensio in January. Emery's men are also in the FA Cup semis and look like the season's surprise package. They topped their group with 16 points from 8 games and just 6 goals conceded. However, they've never won in France in European competition. 5 visits, no wins, 2 losses. Emery himself has a poor record against Luis Enrique, just 2 wins in 10 meetings, both at home. On the road? All losses. None more infamous than the 6-1 comeback at Camp Nou in 2017 when Enrique was at Barcelona. PSG haven't forgotten. This time, Enrique's in charge, and chasing the only thing missing from PSG's trophy cabinet, that elusive European crown. And then there's Barcelona. They'll host Borussia Dortmund at the Olympic Stadium on April 10th. Under Hansi Flick, Barca have become a machine again. They're unbeaten in 22 games across all competitions, top of La Liga with a 4-point lead, and have racked up 83 goals in 30 league matches. In the Champions League, they've lost just once, a group stage slip-up when they went down to 10 men. They beat Dortmund 3-2 earlier this season in the group stage. Historically, Dortmund have never beaten Barcelona, and Flick himself is a nightmare for them. 6 wins in 6 matches as a coach, averaging 3 goals per game. Robert Lewandowski, once Dortmund's golden boy, has been their tormentor-in-chief. 27 goals in 27 appearances against his old club. This season, he's bagged 25 in La Liga and 9 in the UCL. He's not slowing down. Dortmund's season has been a roller coaster. They dropped as low as 14th in the Bundesliga before bringing in Niko Kovac. Since then, they've stabilized, currently 8th, 5 points off the top 4. But their form remains shaky. They've kept just 1 clean sheet in their last 6, and have won just once in 10 away knockout games in Spain. The odds, and the stats, aren't in their favor. This year's quarterfinals are full of reunions and returns. Martin Odegaard, once Real Madrid's prodigy, now Arsenal's captain, facing his former club. Unai Emery, back in Paris as Aston Villa's boss. Robert Lewandowski, a Dortmund legend, now leading Barcelona's charge. Benjamin Pavard, who left Bayern less than a year ago, now returning to the Allianz with Inter. Every storyline is layered. Every match has meaning. And in the Champions League, the past always echoes. But it's the present that decides who makes history.